Welcome, welcome. Season 3, Mary.
I can't believe it.
Season 3.
Ah.
Slam number 1 of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Are we syndicated? You're probably wondering. Not yet.
Not yet.
Are we being picked up by NPR? Not yet.
Soon.
Not yet. Other major chains. I don't even know how those networks work. Maybe, right?
I think we should dream big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I should get my shit together before I dream that big, though. Right?
I don't know. Do you have to?
Like, I should probably figure out Eventbrite a little better before I dream that big. Honestly.
First time out of the gate, there's always, kinks.
Yep.
That's
Hey,
all.
you know what? We've got 37, and we will have a few more that are coming in. We're going to wait. It's now 7:02.
Right. We never start on time.
We're not going to, it's intentional.
It
We're
is.
going to wait to pick our first names from the hat to at latest 7:10, because people will come in a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
They will make demands.
They do.
They will expect. Now, I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourselves. I could also do it for you, but that's a little aggressive, frankly. And I want to just thank you all for being here. Nothing fancy. If you know me, if you know Mary, we don't do fancy very well, do we? Do you?
Not usually.
I should speak for myself, probably.
No, not usually.
I'm not a fancy man.
No, you're fine. We're no offense here, Sean.
Right. I'm not like the opposite of fancy, but I'm by no means fancy. My point being, what we emphasize here are just gritty, awesome tellers with 99-second stories that keep getting better and better. That's what we bring.
It's true. It's true.
I mean,
and that's
you're bringing the looks. I'm bringing what? What am I bringing here?
Listen, you're the ringmaster, my friend.
I'm not a master.
You're the ringmaster.
Howard Lieberman, if you are here, identify yourself. You are teller. The only teller who's not here, which is fine, because right now 16 is the perfect number. Nothing wrong with 17. It's just not as perfect. Those of you who have been here before, who have either told a story or watched this, thank you again for your support, for showing up, for listening to our tellers. I appreciate it. Mary, how do you feel? You've been doing this. We've been doing this together now since, like, what is it? Early fall?
Yeah.
What's your take on this whole game?
I'm always amazed at how everybody brings like amazing stories. Just the level and the skills that come here every time just keep going up. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah. Right. It looks a little bit easier, like a lot of crafts, right? Like if you're watching comedy or any type of story, it looks maybe easy, but man, it's not.
It's not. Especially 99 seconds. No.
It might be harder in some respects than other kinds. I don't know for sure. Just so you all know, if you're here in the Zoom room, you're going to vote. And I'll go over that more in a moment. And so if you're hearing this, this probably doesn't pertain to you, but you might know somebody within the GRIT group. It's a Facebook group. We're also live, which means if you're here and you don't want your face to be shown at all on Facebook Live, then you can go to the top right of your picture, and you have a few different things you can do, including stopping your video. I encourage you to keep it on, but that's an option if you're a little bit like, nah, I don't want people to see my face, right? And we're going to ask that everybody, other than the storytellers, when they're telling their stories, to stay muted until the end. And that is when we're going to have a little rave tonight. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's going to get crazy.
All right. I like crazy.
Yeah.
It's usually my problem.
Yeah. Now, you keep on letting folks in. I'm glad that we have the people who are here, and I thank you. And I know that you are waiting patiently to either tell or to watch these tellers, and we're going to get officially started in about 4 minutes. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what this night is going to look like. But I think the most important thing is where my hat's from. Can we go over? Do they know?
I don't know
Have
if
we,
everybody knows, Sean.
have we had this conversation?
I don't know if everybody cares also. I just
They don't
want to,
give a shit.
no.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
It's just
Let's just say that the capital is Lima. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into it.
I just want to know if they had a run that day on hats. That's, like,
Well,
yeah, because it seems like 2-for-1 thing.
yeah, probably.
Probably.
Why would I get a normally priced hat?
Well, I'm just saying
Yeah.
because there's a theme of Peru hats. So
Yeah. Well, I was in Peru for 6 weeks. Anyway, so all right. So we are. My name is Sean. I'm in North Carolina. Helping me this evening is Queen Mary. Mary.
hello everyone.
Location.
Boston, Massachusetts.
All right. So we're covering the East Coast, but we got people from several different time zones here.
Yes.
I don't have that much to say to anybody really, other than some basic stuff. Most of you probably know how Zoom works. It's been 10 months of this stuff, but just in case, you have some controls, and you can find most of those controls either at the top right part of your photograph or your picture. And depending, it's going to vary if you're on a phone or a laptop. You've got that view, speaker, or gallery. So we have a few minutes now if you want to play around with that and see what you how you want to experience this evening. It'll probably be about 90 minutes until we're done. It's going to be fun. We're going to have 2 rounds. In round number 1, we have 16 or maybe 17 tellers. They're going to be divided up into 4 sections. They don't know where they are right now. The names will come out of the hat from Peru. Yes, I will be saying the word Peru several more times before the evening's over.
Please
I promise you that.
Don't let us down, Sean.
After the 4th teller, or when that section is done, Queen Mary will summarize. You, the audience, and the tellers will vote. All right. So what I would recommend is, as the tellers tell their stories, whatever you need to do to figure out, I kind of like this person's story the most. So that when Mary summarizes, it's just sort of confirmation. Yep, I'm going to vote for this person.
Mm-hmm.
After that round, we will have the winners from each section, and there will be a second round. And then there will be a winner of that round. So the audience, you will be voting, I believe, if my math is correct, a total of 5 times. Yes. It'll make sense as we do it. Mm-hmm. Mary, today we did something a little bit different. First is first, right? Winners are winners.
Yeah, true.
And non-winners are
still winners because they participated.
Sure, it's 2021. They're still winners, absolutely. But first and second are getting a cash prize.
Woo!
So maybe we should announce second place today as well.
Terrific.
We usually don't.
We don't, but we are.
Keep this very private, locked up. Let Howard in. He's here.
I got him.
Richard, we do have some comments. And by the way, I'm seeing Richard Munchkin's "I want a participation trophy" comment. I will ignore that. However, I will add that you can use this chat function, given that we are mostly muted. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, most people know how this works, but you can send it to everybody or to a particular person.
Yes.
And that's a nice way that tellers can see, because it is tricky when you're telling a story here. And you don't get any, you can't hear people, right? You might hear me or you making a sound, but they don't get the typical response they might like. Mm-hmm. Chat is a way to do that, all right? Mm-hmm. Mary, you let the final few folks in. Are going to draw names in a moment.
Yes.
My final words before pulling out the first name is this. These are 99-second stories maximum. So if this person goes over time, Mary will not be reading their summaries, and you won't have an option to vote for them. This is just how we're playing hardball, right?
When we usually don't, but this one we are.
This isn't slow pitch softball, which I love, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's hardball.
Yeah.
If the teller is not telling a true story, or it's not a personal story, or they're reading, we're not going to DQ them, but I'm going to ask you to not vote for them. Mm-hmm. We've all made this agreement, right? True stories, personal stories, no notes.
No notes.
Can you get away with it and read notes? Sure. But if someone's clearly reading, let us reward those who are playing by the rules we've accepted. Fair?
Amen.
Mary, did I cover everything, or I think I'm good?
I think you covered everything, Sean.
I think we did. And you know what? If I didn't, it'll come up, and then
We'll cover it.
So thank you
You
all for
didn't,
being here.
you didn't cover how many people in the second round.
Yeah. So we've got 5 to 6 people. We will have. Thank you, Richard. 4 winners in total, right? Audience voted, and then 1 to 2 judges wildcard type voting. Just varies, man. Got to play a game a little bit. The tellers, this is the only other thing, and then I'm going to get going here because it's after 7:10, so I'm not being honest with my people. This is what you will see at 80 seconds. 80 seconds. Doesn't mean you have to immediately wrap it up, but you know. All right. And if it ends up being this, it still means 80 seconds. Okay. That like doesn't mean you have right. Okay. Teller number 1, let us roll. Audience, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. And let us have a good Slam 1 of season 3. You ready yet? You ready, Mary?
Woo!
All right, let's do it. All right, number 1, live from Massachusetts, Mark Modral. Mark, I'm going to spotlight you. You take your time. Have some fun.
The pilot asks, so which of you is going to do this rescue? And I'll be honest, my first thought is, this is so cool. But the second thought is, I'm not a big guy. I screwed this up. Mike's dead. So I push the gear to Eric, and Eric says, you better do it, man. The hypothermia. I thought he was speaking French. I'm 17. I'm on this outward bound kind of trip, canoeing across the Arctic. And one day, things just go horribly wrong. We're 400 miles from the nearest town. One of 2 canoes is busted. We lost our gear, a third of our food. The leader washed up on the far shore, and Mike washed up on a rock in the middle of the river. And out of the blue, this helicopter just flies overhead. The pilot tells me I'm supposed to tie the rope around my waist, and I wrap it around, but he takes off too fast. I've just got it like wrapped around my right wrist. So I just grab on and up I go. I'm like 20, 30, 40 feet in the air, hold up by my right wrist. And he takes me out to Mike's rock, and Mike's hypothermia, it looks like an epileptic seizure. And he's flailing and he's kicking, and I get my left arm around his waist, and up we go. We're 40 feet in the air. I'm held up by my right wrist. Mike's held up by a hug. And the seizure didn't stop. Boom.
All right, Mark. What do you think of that, Mary, to start us off? Not bad, huh?
You know, people come out of the gate fast, I'll tell you.
Every time, faster and
yeah.
faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
Faster and faster. Mark is in Massachusetts, by the way. Nobody really wants to have the, oh, how's the weather up in Massachusetts conversation. But boy, oh boy, I do hear it sucks.
Oh, it's gross. It's just gross.
It's gross, right?
It's gross.
North Carolina is like 48.
Yeah, we're like 28.
Yeah. But you knew that when you moved there.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here. This is our winter. I get it. I can still complain about it, though.
Absolutely. Storyteller number 2. Hang on one sec. We have a question here. All right. Make sure everybody's muted, please. Do we have anybody who's not muted? If you would, please mute yourselves, just to make sure that we don't have any background noise. Storyteller number 2 is James. I believe he's here. Let me find James. And we will spotlight James. There he is.
And my mute is off. You can hear me?
Absolutely. Take your time, James.
I'm driving down the backbone of the Colorado Rockies, and I see a sign, Central City, the richest square mile on earth. I've never heard of this place. I pull off, and it's a small town, 3 streets of pretty well-established buildings in brick and stone, a bank, a town hall, and an opera house. I find a diner, and I go in and talk to the waitress. What should I see here? She said, go to the end of the road turn right and go up the hill. There are 3 or 4 cemeteries that are worth seeing. The inscriptions alone are fascinating. I do, she instructed, and find myself on the high Colorado plateau. There's a single iron arched gate that says Central City Cemetery, no walls. I walk through on a path up a hillside and find a graveyard, untended. The stones are stained, cracked, and askew, but I see what the waitress wanted me to see. First, all of the men buried there died at about my age, in the mid-30s to 40s. And they did not do the normal graveyard of dates. They counted their days. Matthew, 38 years, 3 months, 2 days. Wife, Martha, 28, 2 months, 1 day. Child, Mark, 11 days. These people counted their time on earth.
Muted now. I'm so concerned about muting myself that I'm sometimes trying to speak whilst muted, Queen Mary. James is in Chicago area. Thank you, James. Our third, so we got to move this, right? When you have 17 storytellers, you got to keep things
Keep moving
moving.
on along.
At 80 seconds. And
Got through you.
All right, number 3. We have 2 Bobs here this evening. This Bob is in Las Vegas. He's a dancing man. That probably doesn't have anything to do with this story, but I can't say for sure. Let me find you, Bob. There you are. Let me spotlight you. Take your time.
Is my volume okay? I'm just getting my clock ready.
Great.
Sounds good, Bob.
Thank you. For my birthday this week, I got 2 jars of 13 ounces imported French preserves. Came from Trace and Lindsay. Now, this is a nice present, but frankly, in our house, this is going to go into the pantry and stay there for a few months or years or however long. Now, although, because my mom raised me right, I said, thank you. This is nice. It happens 4 days later, the lady across the street having a 90-year-old birthday. Bonnie's known her for 30 years. Of course she's going. She has no idea what to take. I suggest, how about 2 jars of 13-ounce imported French preserves? Comes in a nice gift bag. Wouldn't that be perfect? Bonnie goes, great. My problems are solved. Thank you. I'm ready to go. I was going, Bonnie, wait. Put the bag down. Take out the jars. Look, is there anything else in the bag? She goes, oh yeah, there's this card that says, to Bob, love, Trace and Lindsay. Thank you for saving me from this senior moment. I'm going, you know, we should have told them that we wanted chocolate chip cookies instead of preserves. Bonnie says, you're being ungrateful, Bob. This is no good. Don't tell them. It would embarrass me if they know. And I go, okay, I won't tell them. And then it hits me. I made a bigger senior moment that Bonnie almost did. Trace and Lindsay are here in the audience today. Boing.
Bob getting
Okay.
meta. Bob Dancer getting meta. Bob is in Las Vegas, by the way, Mary.
Oh, nice.
What that means is we've had Mark in Massachusetts, James in Illinois, Bob in Nevada. We've got 3 people. We've got 3 states, which I just love the diversity.
I do too.
That said, all white men, but hey, we are covering a lot of geography.
Yes. And we couldn't do this, you know, unless we were on Zoom.
Nothing wrong with a white man. I mean, I'm white. Just saying.
Oh, Mary Jo said 3 time zones. Yes.
3 time zones. And we got our 4th of 4 tellers for this first section, right?
Who's closing us out?
And remember, after this one, Mary will summarize and you will vote. And if anybody went over, we're gonna say you went over, and your name's not going to be called. There will not be a summary, And I hate doing it, but if it
I
has
do
to
too.
happen, it has to happen. Teller number 4 is going to be Andrew Shelfo, back to Massachusetts.
Mass.
Andrew's got to unmute himself, and then I will spotlight him, and he will take his time and have some fun.
Oh, we gotta have fun?
No.
Okay.
Or
Just
have
wanted
to.
to- The other day I walked into my office and I saw something on my otherwise clean desk that made me rethink my relationship with raisins. That thing was a raisin. And it made me wonder, what are the raisins up to? Now, raisins are all around us, of course, and they never really threaten us very much. I mean, it's not like they're kale or pumpkin spice, you know, these things that kind of force their way into other food groups. I mean, if pumpkin spice were a country, it would be like Russia, constantly looking for the next food group to invade. If raisins were a country, they would be more like, I don't know, Belgium. They'd be looking for ways to make chocolate taste better. But it didn't really get me to where I wanted to be. So I thought, you know what, I'm overthinking this. So I picked up the thing that looked like a raisin on my desk and I tossed it into my mouth. And in the moment that that raisin left my fingers, but before it reached my mouth, a series of questions popped into my head. What if this isn't a raisin? It's only something that looks like a raisin. What's something that could show up on my desk overnight that looks like a raisin? Oh my God, did I just throw a piece of shit in my mouth? Now, we often say to people that we don't like, eat shit and die. But we also say about some people, they had a shit-eating grin on their face. And in the Ultimate Guys movie, Shawshank Redemption, the main guy swims through a river of shit and he comes out clean on the other side. And that was my last thought as this raisiny item hit my mouth. Sometimes you have to risk eating shit in order to find out the truth. Boom.
All right, Queen Mary. So Andrew, I think a couple others said boom. It's not required.
No.
Nobody's forcing anybody to say boom.
No.
It's just what has sort of organically grown when people are done. But
Yeah.
we know when they're done. We've got we had 4 tellers there. Thank you all for going first. You didn't really have much of a choice.
No.
We're gonna Mary's gonna summarize 3 stories. 1 teller went over by a little bit too much. James, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You were over by about 8 seconds. Got to keep it tight. So Mary, would you please read Mark, Bob, and Andrew, and then we'll put that poll up.
You got it. So Mark went on a canoe trip that went wrong and helped rescue somebody. Bob Dancer was going to give someone preserves for their birthday, but then realized that he had some senior moments and it all went wrong. And Andrew was rethinking his relationship about raisins and learned that he might have to eat shit to find out the truth.
All right. So we've got Mark, Bob, and Andrew. Poll number 1, section number 1. And we're going to launch it. And everybody, other than me and Mary,
Yeah.
or Mary and I suppose is grammatically correct, right?
Hey, we don't have to be grammatically correct here.
That you're going to vote. So that means up to 40 people. Please mute yourselves. And here we go. Mark, Bob, and Andrew, section number 1. Hopefully everyone will vote.
Vote, vote, vote.
Vote,
Do it.
vote, vote. Wow, this is super close. I mean, I know we always say that, so it probably like people don't believe us when it's really close, but
No,
this is
but
especially close.
it is.
I think we have about upwards of about 8, 9 more people could vote. We'll do it another, let's say 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, I agree.
Encourage these people to vote, Mary. What do we got to do? You want to send them $1 to vote? Should we pay them to vote?
I don't think we have to pay them to vote. It's their duty if they're here to vote.
They don't, I guess the choice to vote is a choice not to vote sometimes, right?
That's true.
You
That's-
can't. All right.
But we encourage it heavily because that's how we roll.
All right. Again, you can use the chat to communicate with the tellers or us. You want to send a message to me or Mary, especially if it's like you're having sort of tech issues or questions.
Yeah.
You can do that. We can multitask, but we do the best we can. I'm
We
going to
do.
end this poll. We do have a winner. Of course, we're not going to tell people what won just yet, right?
No.
Because that would kill the surprise.
Right.
We want people to stay and we
That
want people
too.
to vote.
Mhm.
And yeah, great job, y'all.
Yeah. Thank
Section
you
1
for your
done.
votes. Woos.
Let's keep moving.
Yes. Section 2.
Section number 2 begins. Section number 2 is going to begin with, he is in New York City, I think. He might have more than one home. His name is Jamie Brickhouse, and he's wearing a red coat.
Yes.
That is me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My older brother, Ronnie, is a proud Texas redneck, a roofer, and worships Neil Diamond. I'm gay, a writer, live in New York City, and listen to show tunes. How we came out of the same womb, I'll never know. But of course, the one thing we do have in common is our mother. And at her funeral, I felt kind of creepy when I took her picture in the coffin, but I needed to possess that last image of her. It was the look on her face. She looked like she was going to open up her eyes any second and say, God, I love you so much. And so it nearly devastated me when a few days later, I left my digital camera. This was before iPhones, in the rental car. I got the camera back, but the photos had been deleted. And it was like another loss. So the next year, I'm down there for the holidays, and I'm worried about Ronnie because he's a Forrest Gump type and a loner. And our mother was his best friend and confidant, and he spent at least one day a week telling her everything about what was going on in his life. So I'm talking to him, and I said, Ronnie, I'm going to go to the cemetery. Have you been? He says, yeah, I go all the time, about once a week. And I talk to Mama, and when I'm talking to her, I know the look she had on her face because I saw her before they put her in the ground. That look, it brought me back to those photos, and I told him what I hadn't told another living soul, what I had done. And he said, I did the same thing. I took pictures of Mom in the coffin too. I've got copies in my glove compartment. I'll give you some if you want them. I was never more stunned than this moment when we had the rare time that our instincts came together. And when he gave me the photos, he said, you ought to go out to the cemetery and talk to her. She can hear you. And you know what? I took his advice. Boom.
Thank you, Jamie Brickhouse. Sometimes, Mary, I feel like the tellers are saying boom to end the story.
Right.
Sometimes they're almost booming at me or us. You get that sense? Sometimes they're like you.
You. Right. I
It's
do.
directed.
There's aggressive booms. But
It's not. It's fine though. I love that. It's New York. It's Northeasterners are a little different, maybe, right? Maybe we
Sure.
run a little. Who knows? Right?
It's true. I think we can handle the booms.
I don't think it's a big shock that I'm not actually from North Carolina, right,
No,
Mary?
I don't think it's a big shock at all, Sean. Nor Peru.
Not a Peru either.
No.
What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go on gallery. I'm just going to get a good look at all these handsome faces that are either telling a story or came here to support storytellers or the craft itself. I want to thank you again. I really appreciate it. And I can probably speak for the tellers and say they appreciate it too.
Yes.
Mary, you've got, you're going to be doing our summarizing our next storyteller. I'm actually not sure. I think she's West Coast.
Shama.
I think she's West Coast. Neshama, I'm going to unmute you.
I
And
am West Coast. I am West Coast.
West Coast. Take your time.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, there I was on a stage, essentially stark naked except for a G-string. What was I, a mother of toddlers, doing? I was about to do the hippie dance of love. This was the summer of love, and my dance teacher, he also had a couple of toddlers and he needed to turn coin. So he went down to North Beach and pitched the following. He said, you know, the tourists, they want the psychedelic experience, but they're scared of dirty hippies in the hate. So they can sit there clutching their drinks and we'll bring it to them. And that we did. And the only rules were that we were to end up lying right next to each other on this grimy carpeted platform. And we could do improvisational dancing and I could get paid for it. And it was absolutely glorious until the summer of love was over, and so was the hippie dance of love. But I want you to know that when you're looking at an old lady with frizzy gray hair, You have no idea what she's really been up to. Boom.
True that.
True that.
You don't know.
Mm-mm.
Don't know.
Mm.
I
Mm-mm.
like that these stories are not only good stories, very good stories, but you learn a little bit about our tellers, right? You learn a little bit about their lives or their thoughts or their feelings, and so on. It's one of the joys about this stuff. I've got
True.
to say.
You get to get a peek in.
Mary, why don't you and I craft like 15 99-second stories each and just have the Mary and Sean 99-second extravaganza?
Oh, that would be fun.
You think anyone would come to watch?
No, I know. I think it'd be you and me on a Zoom, but that still, I think it'd be fun.
Fun. Next up,
Hey,
Kate. Let me find you, Kate, and we are going to spotlight you. Where are you? There you are. Hang
I'm
on one
here.
sec, Kate. Yeah, your volume is great. Take your time.
Okay, thank you. When I bought Bessie, my 1956 Buick Special, she was already a classic, one of GM's best designs. A sky blue and white hardtop with a V8 engine and a throttle start that you had to push in and pull out just right or she'd flood. Bessie's frame featured chrome portholes, sexy tail fins, and round headlamps that protruded like Betty Boop's eyes. But she was old, and she needed more repairs than I could afford. My boyfriend asked if he could enter her in the county demo derby. I don't know, did I want to see Bessie pounded to smithereens in front of a crowd? Or would she die a slow, sad death in an icky junkyard? I decided to race her. The day of the derby, I steeled myself with beer. The race started, and there was my car, spinning in circles, getting walloped and slammed from all sides. It was hard to see her through gusts of dirt and mud. A frontal assault did her in, steam gushing from the radiator. Bessie was finished, crumpled, crushed, shattered, and on fire. I walked up to the heap of smoking metal and took one last look. My classy Viking on her voyage to Walhalla. Boom.
Thank you, Kate.
That wasn't.
Good. I love Kate's background. It has no bearing on voting one way or another, but it's kind of a
Thank you.
stucco-y, interesting.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, Mary, we've got 3 of our 4 tellers for section number 2 complete.
mhm.
Now, I'm calling them sections. There was a time when we called them heats.
But you didn't like heat. So
I
we
didn't
changed
like that word.
it. I know.
I don't know why. I don't like heat. It works for track and field better than it does the 99-second story slam.
Right. And it's your story slam.
It's not
You can do whatever
mine.
you
It's
want.
our story
It's
slam. It's
ours,
all of our
yes.
stories.
Yes. Still, you can decide to change it.
Make some choices, right? We got to make
Yes,
some choices sometimes.
Choices.
Really enjoy people's backgrounds as well. Not as much as your stories, but you can tell a lot by someone's background, the choices they make, what
Choices.
to
yeah.
include. You know what I mean? If you look carefully behind my shoulder, you'll see that I'm actually a Jewish kid. It's right there. Here we go.
Mhm.
Howard Lieberman, Minnesota. Unmute yourself and take your time.
It's a cold November day in Chicago. I'm in the front seat of a 1959 Chevy Impala, squashed between a big, smelly man who worked in my mother's factory and my older brother, Alan. I hated riding in middle seats, but second brothers always ride in the middle seat. We were on our way to the hospital where my mother was taken when she got sick at work. I was happy about that because she had been sick for a while with numbness in her left arm, shortness of breath, and a doctor who said, "Rose, you're nervous," and prescribed tranquilizers. When we got to the hospital, the three of us walked in the emergency room door, and before we got to the desk, a tall doctor, white hair, white skin, stethoscope, looks into my eyes and says, "I'm sorry, son. There was nothing we could do. She was dead on arrival." Those 13 words changed my life forever. Boom.
Ooh. Thank you, Howard. All right. So Queen Mary, we had Jamie in New York, Neshama in California. Kate, oh dear. Kate, where are you?
I am, sorry.
What city are you in?
Just outside of Chicago.
Okay. Another Chicago. And Howard in Minneapolis area. Mary, nobody was over time.
Excellent.
So if you would, please do our summaries, and then we will launch poll number 2.
All right. So Jamie realized that his brother did the same thing he did when his mother passed, and also did the same thing by talking to his mom together, and sometimes separately. Neshama had a summer of love fun time that she was reliving in our story tonight. Kate saw the death of her classy Viking, Bessie, the beautiful car, and saw it go on the way to Valhalla in a demolition derby. And Howard had 13 words change his life after his mother passed.
All right. So here's how I summarize it, because I want to be as fair as I can. Howard, 13 words. Kate, demolition derby. Neshama, summer of love.
Yeah.
I think I need a little more with Jamie. Can you help me out? What would be a good way to summarize this in a few words for the audience?
Mom and cemetery.
Okay.
Pictures
Were
of
the, were the others okay?
Yeah, I thought they were fine.
All right. I think I might have made a spelling error, but don't hate on me for my spelling issues, okay?
Production team has a night off. It's just us.
Right, exactly. All right, poll number 2, Jamie, Neshama, Kate, or Howard. Man, 2 sections. Hashtag talent up the yin frickin' yang here. We're launching the poll. Everybody vote. We got 52 people total. So that means 50 can vote. Let's get everybody on board, please. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The votes are coming in here.
They're hot. They're hot.
All right, we have about 5 more people, but you know what, Mary? For this particular poll, I don't think it's going to matter. We have a winner.
Yeah.
We have a winner. Most people voted. We're going to end it. Boom. Okay. Even I say boom from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That means we have had 8 tellers, and we have 9 more. Section 3 will have 4, and our final section will actually have 5 tellers. All right. How we doing, Mary? We good on time? We're moving along.
We're doing great. We have amazing stories. My goodness.
Fantastic. And has anybody, I'm sure, I don't know if people have thought about this or if anyone's messaged you about your earrings.
They have a couple of people have, yes.
Mostly nice things, I assume.
Wonderful things. Yes.
Yeah, no, you've got a lot of, I like the hat, the tats, the earrings, and then the hell was boring all together, really making a sort of tableau.
There's
all
a
right.
whole thing.
Yes. All right. Next up, she is in the Pittsburgh area. I'm going to spotlight her. And hang on one sec, Tori. How do I spotlight? All right, you take your time. Have some fun.
So freshman year of college, I'm in a doctor's office for my annual breast exam. And often during these ladies' exams, the doctors are very chatty. Like they will be speculum deep all up in your vagina, like, how are classes going? But today, this doctor is silent. It makes me nervous. And then she says it out loud, that she feels lumps in both breasts. She says, we'll run some tests and go from there. So I am fighting back tears, struggling, fumbling, just trying to get my clothes back on. And then she adds offhand, oh, and don't worry, It's totally normal for one of your breasts to be larger than the other. So I remember walking back to my dorm room, and all I could think is, what the hell was she talking about? One of them was bigger? I was oblivious to this difference that was apparently so glaringly obvious. This woman, my doctor, had gone out of her way to make sure that I wasn't worried about the discrepancy. It took 2 weeks to get the test results. Benign. While I was waiting, if you're ever trying to find a way to get a teenage girl to stop thinking about cancer, that is a highly effective method. Boom.
Muted. Thank you, Tori. Tori lives in Pittsburgh. Mary, just because she lives in Pittsburgh doesn't necessarily mean she's a Steelers fan
Right.
or a Pirates fan
No.
or a Penguins fan.
Sure.
All
Just
right?
'cause
There's
you
no
live there. No.
It doesn't necessarily mean that. There is no NBA franchise there. So so those are your three sports teams. And they've got a good art scene over there though, for sure.
Yeah. That's
All
what's
right,
important, really.
That's big.
Yeah.
All right. Her name is Tori. Next up, if you're wondering about the hat,
Do you think anybody's wondering about the hat, Sean?
I don't think so.
No.
Next up, Pacific Northwest. His name is Michael. Michael, let me find you, and then we will spotlight you, and you will unmute. There you are. So you got to unmute yourself. I'll spotlight you. Take your time.
4th grade, winter, upstate New York, small town called Clifton Park. There are only two things that matter: hockey and being one of the top 2 on the altar boy test at St. Edward's Church. Now, I sucked at hockey, but I was damn good at tests, and I was a proud winner of the top spot in the altar boy test. So like any proud person, I would get up every morning and I put the test on my desk and I would look at it and say, yeah, I'm kind of big man on the elementary campus right now. And so I looked at it for a few days, and one day, can't help yourself, I go and I start looking at the test and adding up the score, and I'm adding up the score, and I'm adding up the score, and I realize, wait, the score is added up wrong. I am not one of the top two altar boy tests. I really thought growing up Catholic, I was being tested by God, by the priest, by the whole church. And I couldn't sleep for days. And finally, I decided I better go to a power higher than God to find out what to do. And that was my mother. So sheepishly, I took the test down to my mom, and she was at the kitchen washing dishes. And I said, Mom, I am not the one who won top 2 of the altar boy test. And she took the test. She looked it over, and then looked at me and said, Mike, they probably wanted you to be one of the top 2 of the altar boys. I was a damn good altar boy at that ceremony. Always listen to the higher power than God. Boom.
Michael, thank you, sir. Mary, thank you, Michael. I know typically there's a little more back and forth with the tellers. I'm moving rapidly because there's a lot of tellers.
There's a lot of tellers, and we want to make sure everybody hears the stories and votes and has a chance. You know?
Right.
Right.
Nobody wants a 2-hour event. We've learned that.
We've heard that. We've heard what people have said.
I hope I don't come as I hope I'm not coming across as a little bit, I don't know, crass or sarcastic.
Not more than usual.
No, just kidding. Not more than usual. Right, exactly. Yeah. So we had Tori was in Pittsburgh, Michael was in I think he's in Seattle, the area.
Area, yes.
Safe to say the greater Seattle area.
Hey,
we also have a couple of Canadians here this evening.
Hey.
Don't know if we have any other internationals, but let's find them.
Yes.
Where are the people from Scotland,
South
Africa, and New Zealand? Next up, live from Vegas, not Bob Dancer. They know each other, I believe. Richard Munchkin. Richard, unmute yourself and take your time.
Let me just get my settings straight. Okay. You can hear me okay? I am dealing blackjack on the Las Vegas Strip. I'm 25 years old. I'm having a blast. And all of a sudden, I realized my nose has started bleeding. So I call the boss over, I clap off the table, and I go to stem the flow of the blood. And I know what the problem is. It's the cocaine. It's 1980. Cocaine is everywhere in Las Vegas. Not just Las Vegas. Cocaine is everywhere, such that people are wearing gold Coke spoons around their neck as jewelry, and people are joking about it on Johnny Carson's show at night. And I love the cocaine, but I hate what it does to me. One night of Coke, and I suffer 4 or 5 days of nosebleeds, sinus infections, and headaches. And I think there's got to be a better way. If somebody could just like put it in a pill so I could just swallow it so it wouldn't do all this damage to my nose. And about a week later, I go and I'm donating blood, and I'm watching the nurse as she slowly shoves a needle into my vein. And I think, that's not so hard. I could do that. And it scared the shit out of me. And that was the day I stopped doing cocaine. Boom.
Thank you, Richard. Everybody's got the day they stopped doing cocaine. That was Richard's. You learn a lot about these people.
You do.
Did I just say these people?
These people.
Jackass. I just said I didn't want to be considered sarcastic or crass, and then I'm calling them these people.
Oh, see.
Just
get right out.
It's not very inclusive.
No, you can change it though.
I've never really talked about your teeth, have I? You've got good teeth.
Thank you. My mother spent a lot of money on these teeth, so.
You spent a lot of money on them?
My mom did.
Yeah.
She'll be happy to hear.
Next up, I don't remember where Tracy is. Somewhere in the West, I believe.
West Coast lady, I think.
I'm in the Seattle area, and Michael Lockhart and I are probably 5 miles apart.
Interesting. All right. I know that's happened a couple of times where I was like, where's Tracy? I'm not going to make that mistake again. Tracy's in Seattle. All right. Take your time.
Okay. I used to think that Good Samaritans were really just a weird urban legend until I had a grand mal seizure on a New York City subway on my way to work on a Monday morning. I was out probably 10 minutes. And when I woke up, I was at one of the worst subway stations. It's 4 stories below the street. And I remember laying on the subway platform thinking, I can't get up those stairs by myself. I need something. And all of a sudden, this little tiny grandmother who was barely 4'10", if that, and her name was Maria. And she said, I will help you. And somehow she got me up 4 flights of stairs. She hailed a taxi. She got me in the taxi, and we're on our way to the emergency room. And she says to me, has this happened before? And I said, yes. And she said, do you have a disease that causes this? And I said, I do, but my brain was so scrambled that I couldn't say epileptic. And so I said, it ends with ick. And she was like, oh, she loves guessing games, apparently. And so she goes, are you anemic? No. Are you diabetic? No. Oh, are you psychotic? No. She takes me into the ER. She hovers until she makes sure that a doctor is seeing me. And then poof, she just vanishes. So when I go to check out, I say to the nurse, do you have my insurance card? And she said, no, Maria paid for everything in cash. And then she left. So 35 years later, Maria, mwah, wherever you are.
I think Tracy closed out with a kiss.
You don't have to say boom. No. You can kiss. You can do anything else. We know when the story's over, don't we?
We do.
The clock doesn't start until you clearly start. And we don't, when it's over, it's over. Right. Nobody went over time. So we got 4 tellers. We've got 4 stories. Mary, you will summarize, please. And then we will do our third poll.
Yes, that sounds good. So Tori was distracted by the fact that she could possibly have cancer when she was a freshman in college by finding out that one boob is bigger than the other. Girl.
Sorry.
Michael found, then the next story was Michael found out he was one of the top 2 altar boys and made sure he checked with a higher power other than God and his mother to go ahead and let the test be what the test was. Richard found out that something that became very easy going into his vein was the day that he stopped doing something that wasn't so good for him. And Tracy realized that Good Samaritans do exist. And Maria, mwah, we'll always remember you.
All right. I've done my very best, spelling aside, to summarize these stories by Tori, Michael, Richard, and Tracy. I'm going to save that poll, and we are going to launch that poll.
Yes.
And then we will have our final group. Now, this is a group of 5, so it's a little more challenging. It just happened to work out. How weird is this, Mary? That in our final group, we have someone who lives in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not partial, but I am in North Carolina. I mean, it just is what it is.
It is.
We've got 2 Canadians. I'm not throwing any shade on Canadians. I'm just
We
saying.
love our Canadians.
We've got a first timer to the 99
Woot.
and a fellow member of the tribe. So what an interesting final group that is.
It's going to be spectacular.
Let's launch this third poll.
Yeah, people want to vote.
Up to 50 people can vote. So please vote. They're coming in. Let's have everybody vote.
Oh, yeah, guys, it is. And I know we always say this, but it really is close.
Very, very close.
Yes.
We have 3 people who haven't voted, and that will make a difference potentially. So it's up to them. They might not be listening. They might not want to vote. No pressure. You don't have to.
Okay, no.
Let's give it another 10 seconds as we might get. I think that's it.
Yep.
Is that it?
I would say that's it, darling.
5 more seconds. I just want to make sure everybody who can vote votes. All right, let's close it out.
Okay.
We do have a winner, and it was rather close.
So close.
Hey, that's how it is sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's true.
We've got 50 people. That's a good number.
That's excellent.
Sort of a good sort of sense of who's rising a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Glad people are joining us on a Sunday night. That's wonderful.
I really appreciate that too, right? They could be doing any number of things, but they're here with us.
They're here with us.
Hearing some 99-second stories. And oh, by the way, really good 99 seconds.
Really good ones.
Yeah. If you're thinking this hat is from Ecuador, you would not be correct. All right, next up, final round. Final round. Live from Canada, as if it's just one little place. Live from Canada, the whole country he's representing. Is Brian Nassemach, and let me spotlight you. Take your time, Brian.
When I was 8 years old, I discovered professional wrestling. It was a Saturday afternoon, and after lunch with my grandparents, we went in the den, and for an hour they yelled at the villains in Yiddish, and they believed it was real, and I wasn't too sure. We had a cottage in Crystal Beach, Ontario, and a lot of wrestlers between the spring and the fall lived there because they could drive to Buffalo and Toronto. 3 doors down across the street lived Leering Lee Henning. I walked by his place, but I never wanted to see the Lear, except one day I thought, I hear he's got great cauliflower ears. I'd love to look at them. And I looked over at him, and he looked over at me, and he smiled. And he called me over, and he was nice, and we chatted, and he told me about wrestling, and he taught me how to do the headlock. In November, my dad took me to Maple Leaf Gardens, and Lee was wrestling in the second bout, and he was despicable. He eye gouged, he choked, he had foreign objects in his pants, and he lost. As he's leaving, he's walking along the ramp, going back to the dressing room. People are yelling at him and throwing cups. And I stand up and go, Lee, and he looks at me, but he doesn't leer. He smiles, he goes, hey. And then he realized he broke character. He went, stupid, and he walked down the ramp. That next summer, when I went back to Crystal Beach, I saw him on the very first day. And we didn't talk about the match because we had more important things to do. He had to teach me how to do a drop kick. Boom.
All right, Queen Mary, we've got the Canadians booming.
Yes, boom.
Literally, I mean, that Brian said boom.
Boom.
I think he is in the Toronto area.
Oh, thumbs up. Yeah.
I believe he's in the Toronto area, which I don't know if you know this, but they have a CFL team and they're called the Argonauts.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that, actually. If you're not in Toronto, no one really knows that.
Oh man, sorry.
Brian's like, dude, come on. Don't hate on the Argonauts.
No, definitely not. You should pick something else out of the Peruvian hat.
I thank you. Yeah, noted. The cue is she's in Texas. Let me find Ruth and spotlight her. There she is. Got to be a better way. Hey, Ruth, take your time.
It's 1977. I'm 6 years old and I'm sitting Indian style because that's what we did in 1977 on the hard floor of the gym/auditorium of my elementary school. And the entire school is sitting there lined up in rows because we're having a very special event. We have a string quartet that has come to play for us. And as those first unique sounds of the string instruments pierce the air, something frightening happens. And my body is doing strange things and I feel wet drops on my cheeks, but I'm not crying and I'm not sad and it keeps happening. And I look over next to me at my bestie, Debbie Biederman, and she says, "Don't worry, my mom's a nurse. She'll know." So after school, after we had those delicious chocolate chip cookies that her mom would bake in the oven, Debbie asked her mom and her mom gave us the diagnosis. She said that I was sensitive. And we nodded and we solemnly left to go play. And it took me many years to realize that that was not a medical condition, but it took me even more years to realize that that was actually a gift. Boom.
Thank you, Ruth. Ruth lives down in Texas.
Oh, it's nice to see.
I got clean water today.
A lot of people, yeah. Gary, there might be people out there, and I'm saying this as a member of the tribe, though it doesn't really make what I'm about to say okay, but hey, whatever. There's some people out there who might not think there are any Jews in Texas. Oh, but there are.
There are quite a few.
Yeah.
There are
Just
quite
let's
a
be
few.
very clear, there's a lot of Jews in Texas. And at least one in North Carolina. All right. Now let's just
Peruvian
move
hat.
on.
With a Peruvian hat
Yeah, with a Peruvian hat.
that you're going to draw another name out of.
I'm going to draw not. Yes, thank you for the cue. We're going to do another hat. Yes. So now we've got Bob, another Bob. Bob C. Let me find you. There you are, sir. Bob/Robert. I'm going to unmute yourself. You're good, sir.
Carl, you're moving too fast. I know that once you were the fastest man in the world. 9 gold and 1 silver Olympian medals. But Carl Lewis, if you're going to make the transition to have the inside track to acting, you have to be able to play the opposite. This was circa 2006, and most everybody else had already left the party and the event. I was chatting up Carl Lewis when we talked about him becoming an actor. I tried to steer Carl towards what I knew was the future, zombie mania. So I said, Carl, you got to learn to be a zombie. That's the future. This was way before Walking Dead. Now, I didn't come by this knowledge lightly. I was a zombie extra in Day of the Dead. My 2 housemates, Tom and Mark, were also highly skilled zombies. Mark was Beefeater in Day of the Dead, a principal zombie, and Tom was the penultimate zombie in Dawn of the Dead, where he got to wrestle with the hero at the end and on the screen for like 10 seconds, okay? I demonstrated again for Carl. The slowness, the jerkiness. Some people are who they are. This man only knew one way to move. Hey, what are you gonna do? Nobody's seen him on the screen at any speed since then.
Boom. Thank you, Bob. I believe it's Creo. Bob, where are you, by the way?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
Also in Pittsburgh. 2 people.
Yeah, I'm friends with Tori.
Got it.
Cool.
All right, thanks for joining us today, Bob. All right, Mary. So that we only have 2 tellers left.
2 left.
They know who they are.
They do. They just don't know what order.
They don't know what order. And
The Peruvian hat's going to tell us.
well, I think you are actually.
I am.
And then the person whose name I don't call has the unique position this evening of the only person knowing for sure that they will have a little cushion and can kind of prepare.
Sure.
But between you and me, if they're just trying to preparing now and they haven't done it already, that's probably not a formula for success.
No.
But you never know. All right. I've got 2 names here. This is my right hand. This is my left hand. What do you want? Right? or
Left hand. Left hand.
Left hand.
Yes.
Cat name. All right, Kat. Here you go. Let me spotlight you. Unmute yourself. Take your time.
Unmute. All right, and I'm setting up my own timer.
Got it.
I'm sitting on a stone park bench in Lucerne, Switzerland. It's 1998, and I'm reading my book, nice and peaceful. And this is one of the prettiest little parks you could even imagine. It's got those little winding paths that go between little beds of flowers and a little fountain for you to throw some coins in. And I've spent a good half hour picking roses so that I can take them back to my room and put them in a jar and brighten the place up. And now I'm sitting on this bench reading. And I'm very happy, but then a man walks up to me, a complete stranger. And he says to me, "Bonjour." And I'm like, what, do I look like I'm here to be picked up or something? So I just turn my back to him. But he's like obviously obtuse because he just circles around in front of me again and says, "I can speak English if you want." And you know what is he, some kind of dumbass? I'm like, okay. I put my book down with a snap and I say, "I'm not speaking anything right now. I'm just here to be alone with my book." I wave my hand at him. And he says, well, can we talk for a minute? And I said, "No, I'm sitting in this park by myself. Please leave." And now he really smiles and says, "Park? I see, but this is my yard." Oh, I look around and I realize, oh, it is, isn't it? And I try and push the roses behind me, but it just draws his attention to him. One of us is a dumbass.
Kat Dean, North Carolina. All right. I'm not sure who the dumbass was in that story. No, I don't. No commenting on the stories. People have done that to me. I'm like, don't comment on my story. Where's this competition, man? Can't show any favoritism. We've got 17 tellers. We love them all equally.
We do.
We appreciate them all being here.
Highly impressed by all of them.
Highly impressed. In addition to our audience, we have 50 people, which we really appreciate. We do, right?
We do, totally.
Now, in a moment, after our final storyteller tells her story, assuming no one went over time, then you will summarize, yes, as you always do, Queen Mary.
As I do.
We will launch our final poll. We will probably drag it out a little bit longer.
Because that's what we do.
That's what we do. And then we will announce who is in the final round. Okay?
Yes.
All
Exciting.
right. Our final storyteller of the first round, also in Canada. She's been expecting this moment for at least a couple of minutes. Crystal.
Hi, can you hear me?
You're good.
Okay. I've always had a male doctor. I know that most women insist on having a female doctor, but for all my medical needs, I've always had men. At the age of 20, I diagnosed myself with endometriosis. It's a chronic disease that causes pelvic pain and infertility. And I diagnosed myself because no male doctor is giving me any answers. I was getting the worst period pains ever, like really bad pain. Pain like someone forced me to drink 10 liters of water, then stabbed me with a knife, and then twisted it, and then left the knife in there, duct taped it onto my belly, made me run a full marathon, and then ripped the duct tape off and just kept punching me in the stomach over and over again. That kind of pain. And I thought this was normal because no one was telling me otherwise. And my family doctor, Dr. Johnson, he would just say, "Oh, that pain, it's very normal to have pain like that." When I finally went back to him for the 9th time after years of this nonsense, He just diagnosed me with irritable bowel syndrome. A few years later, my mom takes me to my first gynae, Dr. Wolf, and his famous solution for my period pain was grin and bear it. And that's what I did while also reading up on women's health issues. On my second visit, I said, Dr. Wolf, I think I have endometriosis. Do you? He said. Well, the only real way to know this is to have a laparoscopy. We make a small incision in the belly, take a scope, have a look around, but there are risks. Well, I'll take my chances. I have this laparoscopy and it is determined I do have endometriosis, but I don't have irritable bowel syndrome. And to get some answers to my pain, finally, I make my first appointment with Dr. Vivian Chow. Boom.
Thank you, Crystal. Good job. Everyone did a great job, huh, Queen Mary?
Amazing, amazing. Really, it's so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had everybody was fine. You can tell all 5 names.
Excellent.
There were a couple that were just at the edge of going over, but they snuck it in. So give us your summaries and we will vote.
All right. So Brian hung out with a professional wrestler, and even got him to break character at an event. But learned how to do a drop kick at the Crystal Lake, I believe it was. Ruth was diagnosed with sensitivity, which she absolutely loved and didn't need a medical diagnosis to know that. Bob tried to convince Carl Lewis to become a zombie actor, but we always knew he would be too fast and couldn't walk like a zombie. Kat thought she was reading in a park, but ended up meeting the owner of the house, of the yard she was sitting in. And Crystal finally got her way to a female doctor after her own self-diagnosis and lots of visits with male doctors who couldn't figure it out.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. I've done my best to
also
summarize those stories.
Yes.
I'm going to save it, and then we are going to launch it. And this is our final poll.
Okay.
And then we'll have our second round, right? We'll announce everybody, and it'll be fun.
And even more fun.
It might even be more fun.
I think it'd be more fun.
All right, let us launch this. We've got up to 49 people. And this is a little bit tougher for our tellers because there is an extra one, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Choose wisely and vote.
Please vote. They are coming in. All right, Mary, you seeing this?
I am.
Let us give it about 15 more seconds. We encourage everybody to vote.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have a winner.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Let's end this poll.
End it.
I'm ending it. And thanking everybody for participating. Now, I will make a brief announcement. Then what I'm going to do is ask those of you who told a story, if you want, and I'm going to do this cautiously, to pop back on and let the audience know if you're involved in anything in the storytelling world. Now, I didn't warn them that I was going to let them do this, so please, 10 seconds max. All right, before we do that, I'm going to put in the chat the group where most of our events and other stuff is housed. So if you're interested in telling a 99-second story or another event that we have coming up, if you want to attend, maybe you want to tell another story, great. I'm going to put that in here now. Hang on. It's called Grit. And we've got weekly events, usually on Sundays, sometimes on Thursdays. We've got a podcast, we've got classes. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. That's the easiest place to find it. All right, storytellers. Might regret this, Mary.
Not at all.
Storytellers, if you would, put your hand up real quick. It'll be a little easier for me to find you. You can unmute it and keep it quick. Here we go. Starting with Jamie. Unmute, 10 seconds, share, and we'll go around, and then we'll announce who's going through.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
Oh,
And
did you want to?
I'm happy to be here. I love this 99-second thing. And what do you want me to share? Just
if you have, this is really about if you have an event that you're a part of or you're producing. Or...
I'm doing my solo show in Indianapolis, March 20th, actually in a theater at 50% capacity. I'm excited about that. So if you're in Indianapolis, look me up on jamiebrickhouse.com website and you'll see the details. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. I promise I'm going to get to everybody. Michael in Seattle. Just unmute yourselves. Yep. You're good.
Daniel Gregoire, ex-Moth producer in Seattle, is hosting a show from Canada called The Iridescent Robot. If you see it online, and I get to tell a story there, but she has some like headliners there that are really funny, and it's based out of Canada.
Cool. Kate.
Yeah, I have a recorded story, 15 minutes personal story that's running one more week with the Manhattan Repertory Theater Film Fest.
Great. Thank you. Who else has got it? Brian.
Crystal Bartels and I have a monthly show called But That's Another Story, where Sean actually appeared last month without the hat. It's going to be the first Sunday of every month. Once we have more information, it's going to be butthat'sanotherstory.ca, and Rona Levy will be joining us on February 7th. Thank you.
Oh, love Rona. And by the way, it's probably going to be tricky. You could put the links in the chat. The chat flies through. It may not be ideal, but if you have a particular interest in somebody, maybe it's easiest to find them on social media. You see their names. That might be another way to do that. Up to you. Any other hands I see that want to share what they're up to? Tori. Oops, sorry, Tori. I unmute. Yep, my bad.
Okay. So I'm featuring in a show on Saturday, March 6th. It's called Sadapalooza. So it's a celebration of mental health awareness. It's pay what you can. It's all online. And they're fundraising for different mental health awareness groups. I also produce my own show, Mashed Potatoes, which is Saturday, March 20th. So I'll drop the links in the chat, and please do check them out.
Awesome. Everybody's so involved in a lot of stuff. Neshama, you've got to unmute yourself and please share.
On Saturday, Sunday, March 14th at 10 a.m., I'll be telling a folktale from Georgia on Caravan of Stories. And I think it's on Facebook. You can find it.
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody else before we announce? We had 4 poll winners and 2 extras. The judges got a little pull in this, right? We got a little say in it.
We do.
Do I see any other hands? I don't want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Richard Munchkin.
I try to tell a story to my wife every night, and she says, "Would you just go to sleep?"
I'm so glad that you were the last person the final teller to share what they're up to in your domestic dynamic. Nothing like the domestic dynamic.
Yeah.
All right, Mary, do we have anything else that we want to share with the audience or our tellers before we announce the 6 tellers who are in round number 2?
I'm in a show February 27th, Better Said Than Done.
Great.
Yes. So I'd love to see you there.
All right.
Yes.
It's so hard to keep track of everything that's going on, which is one of the great things about, this might sound a little weird, of everything that's been going on. We meet new people, all these events, but it's like overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So many events. But really, just make sure you get your asses to this event. This is the one that I wouldn't say matters more, but a little bit more.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm going to ask all the tellers once again. I want to thank you, and please stick around. Whether you go, if you're in the second round, you're going to be telling another story, and if you're not, please stick around. You have your second story for the next slam. We're doing these every 3 weeks, so please come back.
Please.
But we want you to vote. We want you to take part in this. Okay. As somebody who does storytelling myself, I know sometimes with competitive events, it could be a little bit like, what? You know, like, I think I should go forward, but it doesn't always work that way. Here we go. All right. 6 tellers going through to round 2 are Andrew in Massachusetts, Howard in Minnesota, Kate in, I believe, Chicago. Why can't I get Kate City?
I don't know. It's okay.
Richard in Nevada, Crystal in somewhere in the great Canada somewhere. We think towards the Ontario maybe. And West Coast represented by Nassemach. Again, Nassemach, Crystal, Richard, Kate, Howard, and Andrew. Mentally prepare for your names to go back into the Peruvian hat. Get your second stories ready. The other tellers, thank you. I say this not lightly. Anybody who knows me knows I don't blow smoke up anywhere. You were phenomenal as always, really. Thank you for doing this and for joining us. So keep coming back. Anything else, Mary?
No, I mean, I think you summed it up right there, Sean.
Did I really?
Show up. Yes, show up, peeps. Yes. And a lot do.
You know what? There's still 50 people on here, which means our tellers, even if they're a little disappointed, are still here, which I appreciate.
Yeah, thanks.
I do. I really do appreciate it. And to the rest of our audience, these are 99 seconds max. They're true, they're personal, and no notes.
No
so
notes.
let us continue to reward those people who are sort of playing by those rules. All right, let's move on. You know what, Mary? It's only 8:17.
Wow, we're doing great.
We're doing very well. We want to honor people's time.
Yes.
It's Sunday evening. When they get off of here, who knows what they're going to be doing?
Listen, could be a lot of things. Could be going back to work. You never know.
Our first storyteller of round 2, and this is only going to be one poll. We will have a winner, and we're going to announce second place this time too. We'll do it a little differently. We're going to have top 2. First up, Andrew in Massachusetts.
To get my timer ready here. My oldest brother told me that Dad called him from the hospital and Dad was upset because the nurses were shooting pennies into his ass. And I said, shooting pennies into his ass? What does that even mean? And like, how would that work? And my thought was that that had to be a joke because we all knew that Dad loved jokes and he knew them all. I left my harp in Sam Clam's disco. That's the wrong way to Tipperary. Silly rabbi kicks her for trids. And there was physical humor too. When Dad was 16, he lost his trigger finger in an industrial accident, and that became the source of humor for years. He was known, for instance, to go to restaurants and he'd dab some ketchup all over. Then he'd call the waiter over and he would say, "Waiter, my knife is much too sharp." So it made sense that Ass Pennies was a joke. I mean, it wasn't one of his best jokes, but it made sense that it was a joke. And it made me feel better because, you know, he was joking and it meant that he'd been living with cancer for a long time and he was going to live with cancer for a little while longer, it seemed. But then it turns out that one of the side effects of the pain medication he was taking was delusions, paranoid delusions. So it wasn't a joke to him. He believed it. It was true. We used to groan when he would say, "Have you heard the one about?" But to him, this wasn't a joke. It was something that was real. I didn't want to hear the one about this. Boom.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew Shelfo lives in Western Massachusetts. We don't really know much about him. Do we?
I'm an open book, Sean. What do you want to know?
I prefer the way it is, actually. It's great. We know that he has a partner who's always on with him. There she is.
Yes.
And we know that he always has a landscape picture behind him of some sort of
Except
rather.
last time, Sean, you remember what I had last time?
I don't remember. What was that?
It was the multi-portrait of Sean Wellington, which I
Oh,
forgot.
that's right. Andrew tried to win extra votes by having a portrait of me. I think it backfired.
Might have.
That's right. Everyone voted
Learn
against.
the lesson. Learn it from Andrew Shelfo. Don't have images of me in your background if you want to win. Okay. I don't think people really needed that note. I'm pretty sure they knew it.
No.
All right.
It's a strong group.
Moving right along here. Something popped into my head that I wanted to tell people, but I realized, you know what? It's probably not that important.
We know about the Peruvian hat, Sean.
Yeah, I know. There's a story or two there, but not for tonight.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right. Number 2 of 6, we have Howard Lieberman in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. There he is. He's a grandfather, but we'll talk about that another time.
In 1971, I was a left-wing intellectual, and I believed that heterosexuality was just bourgeois nonsense. So when I seduced John Manwaring that warm, lazy summer night, I walked in, took my shirt off, walked over to John, kissed him hard on the lips, pulled his undies down, was confronted with this enormous, erect penis with little veins going in and out and up and down. I'd never seen an erect penis that wasn't mine, and I had never seen an uncircumcised penis. And then he pulled down my undies and he touched me, but I was kind of flaccid. He said, "Take your time." He stroked me. He stroked my penis. It did this. He pulled my undies up. He gave me a kiss on the cheek. He said, "Maybe you're not ready. Let's try that again some other time." Boom.
I'm going to leave that one alone. All right, Mary, what do you think? We don't know, again, we're not commenting on the stories, right? To be fair.
No.
We don't show any favoritism. Love the way it's starting, though.
No, I know. It's, everybody's second story is ready to go.
Everyone's second story is ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many stories are we not going to get to hear tonight?
I know, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time. It's already set 3 weeks. We're doing it every 3 weeks. We're finding the sort of right time, and 3 weeks feels about right, but I'll continue to tweak as we go. Always welcome feedback after. By the way, we have a post-slam sort of loose, let's call it a salon.
A salon. Oh, I like that.
Let's call it a salon, and you can hang out, we could talk, and that's an opportunity to vent, to give some feedback, to talk story, or even other stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talk about your relationship dynamics. That's come up with a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your partner. Talk about other things like that. Next up, Toronto, Canada. Crystal. Where is she? If Crystal says hi, then I can find her.
Hi.
There she is. All right, Crystal, you are, you're good.
I'm washing my hair in my tiny little shower in my bungalow on the island of Koh Samui, Thailand. And as the water is rushing over me, I'm reflecting back on my 11 months of traveling all over Australia alone and my past week in Thailand. Just 3 days prior, I am brutally attacked. And even though I'm okay now, I have nightmares that this man is going to find me. I have swollen lips and I have a black eye. And as if that wasn't bad enough, every mosquito on the island of Koh Samui has found me, and I am covered in welts, so itchy from head to toe. And my toe, my right toe, I have an infection. It's all ripped open and it's throbbing and I can barely walk. As I get a real soapy lather, all of a sudden the water stops and the lights go out. There is a power outage on the island. I throw my soapy hair into a clip and I throw on some clothes. And even though it's night, I put on my sunglasses so no one has to see my face. And I put my feet in a pair of flip-flops because it's the only shoes I can wear. I leave my bungalow and I limp all the way down the dirt road, and I watch the chaos ensue as everyone is trying to restore power. And I see a little tiki bar in the street, and even though the lights are out, it looks inviting. And I pull out a stool and I sit down and I ask for a double vodka neat. And I pull out my last cigarette and I light it and I look out, and at full volume I say to the universe, It's time to go home. Boom.
Thank you, Crystal. People are bringing it, Mary. Round 2. This is the finals. They're not playing. Like I said earlier, it's not slow pitch softball this evening.
No.
It's not that.
No.
There is a place in this world for slow pitch softball. I promise you that.
There is.
This happens not to be what we're doing here this
No.
particular evening together.
No, they're hitting it over the fence. I'm telling you.
3 of our storytellers in the final round have gone. We've got 3 more. Then we will, Mary will once again for one final time this evening summarize. If you've not gone over, which we'll let you know, should someone have gone over. We'll have a winner. We'll also announce second place, and then we will unmute ourselves and have a sort of,
salon
/ rave / cluster F type thing. All right, here we go. Storyteller number 4, Richard Munchkin.
I'm with my friend Mary, and I am complaining about dating life in Los Angeles. It seems like every woman I meet is just freaking crazy. So I went out with this woman, and over dinner, she tells me that after dinner, we should go back to her place and smoke Quaaludes in a bong filled with creme de menthe, and that she's an exotic dancer with a trapeze act. The next woman I went out with, she had 5 cocktails over dinner, and then we went back to her place, and she got a big gulp cup and started pouring a bottle of vodka in it. And I decided to leave before the vomiting started. Then I went out with a woman who passed me a letter under the table, and she asked me if I would drive 3 towns over to mail it because the government was watching her, and if they saw her put it in the mailbox, they would retrieve it and it would never get to her mother in Hawaii. So I'm complaining to my friend, and I say, why does this always happen to me? Why am I always stuck with these crazy women? And she says, well, you picked them. And I said, what does that mean? She says, you think it's an accident that you keep ending up with women like this? Oh, shit. The problem is me. Boom.
All right, thank you, Richard. So Richard Munchkin's in Las Vegas. Mary, did you know that?
I didn't know he was in Las Vegas.
Yes, he's in Las Vegas.
Yes.
We didn't get a chance to really learn a lot about our storytellers. We did chat a little bit with Andrew.
Mhm.
Howard is in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yep.
We're just outside. He's got a wife. He's got some family in Texas.
Oh,
Just adding a little bit of color here.
Yeah.
Crystal, I met rather recently. I know she's in Toronto. I know she's been involved in performance for quite a while.
Mhm.
I don't have that much else to say, so hopefully afterwards she can stick around and share a little bit more. And I was on her show recently. I'm not trying to promote my shit,
Or Brian.
but her and Brian have
Brian.
a show that was last week, and that was a lot of fun. And that was Richard, and he's in Vegas.
Vegas.
And as many people know, he was a professional gambler.
Super fun.
Yeah, among other things. It's not the only thing he does.
Mhm.
We got 2 more. We'll learn a little bit more about them, but now let's just choose one. And
okay.
And then we'll have our final 2, and we'll do a poll, and then we'll call it a night. What do you say?
I love it.
Next up, West Coast representing. There's a hashtag there somewhere, Neshama.
Okay. So I see you, I don't see me.
We can hear you perfectly. Hang on, let me spotlight you. My fault. Now you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So a long time ago, I was the Green Witch at the Renaissance Fair, and I needed something to take the tools of my trade with me because I was going to do spells on these passerbys who had no idea what would hit them. And the only thing I had to put my tools in was a camp trunk. It was very homely. But living with us back then was a very eccentric guy, Dickens 44 Bascom. He was a gluer. He could glue anything to anything with this resin that made your head spin. And so I transformed that camp trunk with all kinds of natural items, you know, eucalyptus seed pods and leaves and moss and feathers and shells and shards of mirror. And it was fabulous. And I took it to my tree where I held my spells, and it was a really wonderful summer. But then it was over. And what was I going to do with this trunk? I stuck it in storage where it moldered for possibly 4 decades. And then it was time to clean out the storage. And I hauled it out and I had to beat it open. It was moldy inside and it was time to get rid of it. And so I had a dumpster for this clean out event, and I tipped it up and dumped that camp truck in the dumpster. But you know, it's an icon of what I loved, but you know where the Green Witch lives. She's still inside. Boom.
You did. Thank you, Neshama. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Neshama.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Also recently met Neshama. She came to another of our events called the Mental Health Happy-ish Hour, which we had was it last week? It goes by so fast.
Yes.
They grow up so quickly.
You run some events, Sean. That's right. You're doing so much.
Just because, but it was really nice to connect with her. I'm glad that you were able to join us here today. And look, certainly not new to storytelling, but new to this stuff. And second rounder, you never know, right? She's out in California, which, yeah, that doesn't need to be, there's nothing else that needs to be said there. She's in California. Our final storyteller this evening, from the great city of Chicago, which we know produces a lot of talent. Kate Ryan. Kate, let me spotlight you. Break a leg.
You can hear me? My sound okay?
Great.
Okay, thanks. I can still see those students standing around in the cold in their downhill ski suits, sucking cigarettes, trying to like each other. It was the mid-'80s and I was teaching drama at an elite boarding school in Vermont, walking distance from the best ski slopes in the East. The woodsy campus with red cabins was a teen bohemia, a hang loose alternative academy where the average school day, like all day, saw kids lounging around, tuning electric guitars, or battling wizards and Dungeons and Dragons. I'd heard rumors from the locals about the school's scandals, its reputation, faculty, student sex scandals, wild parties, parents who would pay things off. I ignored all of it. I wanted a job teaching theater. 6 students registered for my acting class, and on the first day, only two showed up. 2 girls, 20 minutes late, in their pajamas, came in the studio and ignored me completely, plopped on the floor, chatting with each other. I tried to rouse them. Let's get started. Let's get some warm-ups going, some improvs. Nothing. Their faces blank, indifferent. Finally, one of them said something to me. Do you have any pot? Boom.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. So that Kate is our final storyteller of season number 3, Slam number 1, Queen Mary. None of them went over on time. Great job, everybody. All our tellers crushed it. Thank you so much, and to our audience as well. You know what, Mary? Only a couple people have left. For some reason, I like when they don't leave.
I do too. I like when people stick around.
I prefer it if they stick around.
Yeah.
So in this final poll, we will reveal second and first place. And up to 45 people can vote. Every teller, everybody in the audience. And afterwards, we're going to hang out if you want. But once we announce the names, this show is officially over.
Oh,
then I will invite you to unmute yourselves and hang out if you want. All right. So please give us our final summaries, Mary.
You got it. Andrew didn't want to hear the one about from his dad when he was in the hospital. Howard realized that sometimes being intellectual doesn't mean that it measures the same in chemical. Crystal realized after traveling for a long time, it was time to go home from some craziness in Thailand. Richard, speaking of crazy, realized that he was having some crazy woman he was dating in LA, but then realized from a friend that he was the one picking them and could be the problem. Neshama realized that the Green Witch lives inside and not in the trunk that was in storage for over 40 years and got moldy. The Green Witch never gets moldy. And Kate wanted to teach drama and theater, but had 2 very unwilling participants in her class.
Got it. All right, I'm going to make sure I could to summarize this fairly. I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
I'm sure you are.
Where was Kate? In Vermont? Do we
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. Vermont.
All right, cool. I've got Andrew, Howard, Crystal, Richard, Neshama, and Kate. We've got the poll. We're going to, here we go.
Launch and poll.
Let us have everybody who can vote, please vote.
Please vote. Do it. Do it.
That's it. We'll keep it up for a minute. Just to make sure everyone who wants to vote can vote. You never know, they might be in the bathroom.
Yeah. It could come running in.
It is gonna be close. And as you vote, thank you again, everybody,
Yes.
for being here. It looks like it is a very close 2-person race. We've got a few more people that can vote. If you're still hanging in with us, thank you all again for being here, for listening, for watching, supporting, and whatever you're doing. 2 more people can vote, but it will not make a difference. We have a first and a second place. Do you see what I see, Mary?
I do. I do.
All right. Let's close this poll.
Closing it out. All right.
Once we announce this, I want to make sure we get it right. So you want second or first? Which one do you want to do?
I'll do second.
All right.
I'll give you
You
first.
announce second. I announce first. We call it a night. And then unmute yourselves and we'll just chat a little bit if you want to.
So our lady who wanted to teach drama and caught some very unwilling people in her class, Kate from Chicago, is our second place winner.
Nice, Kate. Congrats. Kate Ryan's like, I don't know, man. Maybe I wanted to win this damn thing. Great job, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our winner this evening. How long can I drag this out, Mary?
I think you're skilled at dragging things out.
I'm
Sean.
not bad at dragging it out.
No.
Kate was number 2. Thanks to all our finalists and all of our tellers. Our winner, season 3, slam number 1, is Mr. Richard Munchkin. Congrats, congrats, y'all. Great job, tellers. Richard, Kate. Isn't Richard and Kate another thing? Isn't it like a show?
I think it
No,
was.
maybe I've got that one wrong. Our finalists, Neshama and Crystal and Howard and Andrew and our other tellers, congrats. Well done. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our audience. They're flying away, Mary.
Yeah,
We'll see you at another event soon.
please.
Let's call it an evening. Mary, thank you very much, by the way, for helping as always.
Of course. Of course.
Great job. And let us unmute and chat and get on with our evenings. Great job. Thanks again, y'all.